All right, guys, Office Max, episode 4. Welcome back. Today, Chris, we have a great exercise where we're gonna deal and we're gonna work a little bit with your lower back pain because I have a fantastic lower back and hip mobility program right now that comes with a great free trial portion, which I will link below that you guys should definitely check out. However, I know that people, including yourself, are often sitting long times in meetings or at the office or in the car or in the plane, train, everything.
Yeah.
And I want to go over some stuff that we can do to kind of open up your back. And I want you to share with everybody the exercises that you like to do that just involve basically your table and chair.
Mm-hmm.
So how have you been doing? How has your last week been? I think the last exercise we were working on some opening up the shoulders and the hips. How has everything been overall with your mobility, your pain, and what's going on with you this week?
Yeah, so I do that, all those mobility exercises in between the day, and it works out very good. So you have all your equipment basically in the office you need for. So what I realized, because you said with the lower back mobility, we did that one stretch at the beginning where I lean against my table. And so if we would have another one, because now I basically reached the point where I don't feel so much anymore. So if we maybe have something else which would be which would increase the mobility, that would be great.
Yeah, I think we have something that we can also not only open up the lower back and kind of, as I like to say, prioritize the spine, so focus on the spine, but also add the hips and lower back, since that seems to be our topic today, into the stretch.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna switch cameras here because I think this one is a little bit better. Chris is kind of in all black, so it might be a bit difficult to see what's going on with her legs, but we will kind of walk you through it. And if my camera is good enough, it shouldn't be an issue at all. So, Chris, why don't you go ahead and cross your leg so we can kind of activate that hip and then go into that stretch that we're always talking about that you really enjoy. So if you guys remember in a previous episode, we had a stretch just like this, but we didn't have Chris cross her leg. When she crosses her leg in this position, it really helps kind of lock that hip into place. And now not only is she focusing on that kind of lateral line area of her stretch, but with her leg, her left leg being crossed over her right leg, we can really start activating that hip. And since her chair turns, it's also fantastic because it allows her to really kind of focus on different areas of that stretch. Now, Chris, why don't you go ahead and switch legs, try the other one, and see which one you feel more. This is always very interesting because what we will notice is a lot of times people have a difference in one side of the hip or the leg or the lower back than the other. Do you, Chris, feel difference within the two?
Yeah, definitely. So I feel it more here on the my right side is across. So it's much more intense this side.
Okay,
right
yeah,
side.
it's perfect. So one thing that we always kind of learned growing up was that we should always kind of stretch both sides equally. Yeah, I guess that could be nice if we were still 10 years old and pretty, balanced, but we're not anymore. So we go ahead and focus on that side that is worse more than the side that is good. Go ahead and focus on both, but if you wouldn't have done both sides, you wouldn't have realized the difference between the two.
Yeah, both are good, so.
Okay, perfect. All right, so on a side note, Germany is actually very cool with bringing your animals to work. So if you can hear our pug in the background, she also, I think, wants to be in the video. So maybe next time we actually have 3 in the video, or I would say 2.5. So if you hear the barking, I promise it's not me or Chris or her daughter. It's our dog that really wants to become a superstar. But now, getting back on topic here, Chris, second exercise. Let's go and have you cross, your right leg over your left. So again, I know the pants might make it a bit difficult to see, but this is a fantastic way to kind of open up your hips, crack your back, and something you guys are probably already doing anyways, but we're gonna take you through a few different steps and modifications that Chris likes to do to kind of start, begin and finish, but also warm the area up and kind of stretch it to a greater amount. So, Chris, I let you take over. So first thing she's gonna do here is she's just gonna kind of cross. We're gonna use both cameras here. I'm not sure which one is the best, but this is basically level 1 for her. She's got her right leg crossed over her left. She's got the handle here, and she's basically just kind of turning and twisting her spiral line of her spine, opening up her hip and turning her back. Now, once this opens, Chris, I know you have a few different positions you like to go into, or you like to make it a bit more extreme. How do you do that?
So this is, I grab the chair with my hand, and then it opens up even more, and also my chest.
Okay, cool. So this is also fantastic because as we sit, we know that we kind of fall forward a lot due to being on the telephone, typing on the computer, or what may have you. This is very cool because as we're focusing on the hip and the lower back, we notice that this begins to open up the chest too. Now, Chris, I think you have a final position that you go in. Do you sometimes bring your right hand all the way over to the other side of your chair, or is that a bit too extreme for you?
It depends a bit. So no, I could go a bit further, but it really depends a bit on the day.
Okay, so as you heard, she's listening to her body, and that is extremely important. So I know sometimes, maybe when she's worked out, or when you have done maybe a CrossFit class or what may have you, you might be tighter than others. So listen to your body, make sure you do both sides, and if something is a bit tight, then that's okay. You don't have to set a personal best and a personal record every single time. There's no office mobility Olympics yet. So do this for health, open yourself up, have some fun, and if anything, last piece, try to set a timer so you do these things regularly. Chris, I think you set a timer sometimes on your phone for 10 to 15 minutes, don't you?
Yeah, sure.
And then she kind of has a little bit of a routine that you always go through, and open yourself up, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, perfect. All right, so as always, Chris, thank you very much. Gucci is the pug in the background, so we can thank her also. And as I said at the beginning of the video, guys, check out the lower back and hip mobility program. I'm gonna put a link wherever I can. We're on Insta, we're on Facebook, we're really everywhere. So wherever the links are allowed, check it there. Take the program, free trial version is awesome, and then you can upgrade from there if you want. And as always, share the videos, like the videos, pass the videos around, follow us on social media, and for all you designers out there, people that need great design work, check out Mammut. That's the cool way in German to say it. So it's mammoth. What is it? Chris, I'll let you take over from here.
Yeah, it's mammut-design.de.
So M-A-M-M-U-T, right?
M-A-M-M-U-T.
Okay, perfect. We also link that below. And until next week, guys, as always, thank you. Have a great week. Chris, awesome. And until then.
Great stuff.
Peace.